It's Matt, Taco Potato Mustang. I'm in Miami, Florida, and I'm supposed to be doing a video review on a Volvo XC90, but instead I am going for a walk with my son because he is having a rough morning. So I don't know if this video review is going to happen, but if it does, I guess that will be evident in the title of the video and the thumbnail. Anyways. Fancy. Looks like there's three, or I don't know what the M stands for, but looks like there's three memory. M probably stands for memory. 3 settings for the memory seats. Yeah. This is a Volvo XC90 T5, I think. I'm not sure what year. It's pretty new. I think it's 2021 or 2022. Look at the, it's kind of dirty, but that's pretty normal. Look at the start engine button. What? I don't know. What's happening? Interesting. It's helpful if you know how to start the car. Aha. On the screen it told me vehicle start, press brake pedal. It's blinking at me. Look at this little, I think that's the Swedish flag. Swedish, even though I think Volvo is technically owned by a Chinese company. We're gonna go for a little drive. Okay, one thing I have to point out, which I noticed when I first got in this car, is the quality of the backup camera. Like, you can like count the freaking bricks in the driveway. It's like the same quality as like an iPhone camera. Like, that's pretty impressive. Nice job, Volvo. Driving the Volvo XC90. Wait, I'm like driving too far into the road. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to do this video, because we're supposed to be going to a wedding here today, but and I suspect that part of this video will be me complaining a little bit about what it's like to drive in Miami or just Florida in general. This is the first time I've been to Miami in like about 4 years. Used to come here a lot. I think it's a cool city. I don't think I could live here, but it's fun to visit. Really great food, beautiful beaches, plenty of fun stuff to do. Obviously the weather is a big perk. But driving here, not a fun experience. There's a lot of great car spotting. I've seen like a gazillion dollars worth of exotic cars in the past week. Rolls Royces, Bentleys, every type of Mercedes you could imagine, like 911s, like out the 911s out the wazoo. I don't even know if that is an expression anymore. Like, I feel like I've seen 911s with the frequency that you see, like here, with the frequency that you see Mustangs in like any other place. Ferraris, a few Lamborghinis, trying to think of what else. Aston Martins, I think maybe a McLaren or two. It's just crazy. There's a crazy amount of money here, and obviously, that's always going to bring some pretty baller car collections. But I think the fact that you can drive those cars most of the year, when it's not, hurricane craziness, is probably a big part of why you see so many of them here. But it's fun, it's cool to see stuff that you just don't see very often, and it's also very distracting when you're driving. Sometimes it's more fun to be the passenger here, because you can just car watch, people watch, take pictures, take videos, all that. But yeah, driving here is a little bit crazy. The traffic is nuts. Nobody uses their turn signal. It's pretty infuriating sometimes, but also, what can you do? It's like, it's part of being in Miami. But yeah, so I'm driving the Volvo XC90. This thing is pretty comfortable. I haven't really done anything to adjust the seats other than just move the seat back so I had leg room. I've got pretty good headroom. Again, I haven't moved the seat really at all, up or down. Haven't messed with lumbar support or anything. The seats, they look almost like almost like a racing seat, like in the design, which is pretty cool. They look kind of thin, which would make you think that they're not that comfortable. Obviously, you'd have to drive it for a while to figure out, how comfortable they are for extended driving. But first impressions, largely positive. I mean, Volvo's known for comfort, ergonomics, safety. They got a lot of good features. Can't say I've driven a lot of Volvos in my time, but so far this one is pretty impressive. Also, I've just been driving for 10 minutes, and for the past week I've been driving a newer Volkswagen Passat, and I definitely won't have time to do a review on the Passat. And overall, it's a pretty nice car, but the brake pedal modulation and the gas pedal, the sensitivity on the brakes and the gas is not great, and it takes, you really have to pay attention while you're driving. And just saw a 4-eyed fox body at a gas station, really good shape. You really I've been driving it for a week, and the car is just constantly jerking, because I am, if I'm not paying attention, the brakes do not function smoothly, and neither does the gas pedal. However, in this Volvo, which I've been driving for 10 minutes, the gas and the brakes are super easy, very intuitive, very smooth, easy to modulate both. I haven't given it too much gas to see how it accelerates, but yeah, this is really easy to drive as far as driving a automatic SUV is, or can be easy. So, but yeah, pretty quiet inside too. You don't hear a lot of road noise, not a lot of vibration from the suspension. The roads here are not great. They're not the worst, but they're not great. Yeah, overall, first impressions, very positive. I mean, this is like, this, I don't know how much, I'd have to ask the owner. I don't know how much this particular vehicle costs, like as it's spec'd, but just from like a quick search, this trim level of the Volvo is right around 51,000 with nothing added, obviously not including tax and license and all that, but so that's about $16,000 more than the Subaru, and this our Subaru Forester, and I could say, just based on like how quiet and like pretty smooth it is, I could totally understand why you would, you know, pay that amount for this vehicle. Like, it's pretty sweet ride. You know, obviously I'd have to drive it a little bit more to have, you know, opinions on different aspects of it. But so far, pretty positive, pretty impressed. It's a comfortable place to be. I haven't sat in the back seats yet. There's a couple of kid booster seats back there. So if I get some time, I might try to see how the head and legroom are back there. When we got picked up in this car, my wife was sitting in the back seat, and she said that she felt like she was up quite a bit higher than in the Subaru, and I just from like looking, it seems like the seats are a little bit more elevated. But this vehicle's not super tall, so it's just, you know, it's a slightly bigger class of vehicle. It does have a third row where you can sit two people, but yeah, this is I don't know if you can hear it through the camera, but you really, I like how quiet it is, but you really can't hear much. And there's not a lot of like, I don't know what the right word is, like, there's not a lot of like rattling or noises from like plastic or, you know, whatever pieces of the car kind of like banging around while you know, hit the vibrations of the road. But yeah, it's F-type coupe, nice. Yeah, so far good impressions. I'm gonna try and find a place to drive it a little more, I don't want to say aggressively, but see what it can do in terms of acceleration. Yeah. Okay. Well, it is Sunday, so we can drive like maniacs in a school zone, right? Oh, maybe not. I don't want to run this guy over on his skateboard. So quiet. What's interesting is that on the like on the screen that just comes with, you know, as the car, like the dash has a little warning that tells you that you're in a school zone with a lower speed limit. Obviously it's not like smart enough to know that today is Sunday and there's no school, but it's pretty nice safety feature to have. I can definitely say that in Florida, of course, but not just in Florida, there's a lot of people who need to be reminded that they're driving too fast in a lot of places, especially school zone. Safety first, people. Safety first. Okay. We're gonna give this thing a little gas. I think it's like I have to look at, I should definitely research this more before I drive the car, but I think it's a turbo and supercharged engine. I can't remember though. I know that's one of the things Volvo does. I just can't remember if this is the one that has that like double boosted 4-cylinder, whatever. Let's see. Let's see what this thing can do. Jesus. It's pretty quick, pretty powerful. I got up to 45 miles per hour, quite a bit quicker than I expected. I mean, it's not like mind-blowing acceleration, but it definitely gets out of its own way. I'm somewhere near the University of Miami, just noticed. But yeah, acceleration is pretty great. I think the Publix that I'm looking for is around here somewhere. Got to get some potassium in the form of a banana, and I don't know what else I'm looking for. I can't remember. I might have to call my wife. Okay, so I just pulled into the parking lot of a grocery store, and there's a Bentley Continental, like pretty new, like one of the first things that I spot. So that's like if you've never been to Miami, that's like a taste of what it's like to be in Miami. There's just so much baller stuff. Like it just, I'm sure that people who live here for a long time, it just becomes normal. Like there's like, oh yeah, Bentley. Like when you visit, it's like, what? Okay, dude, ballin'. I am a big fan of the design on the newer Bentley Continentals. I think they're really good looking cars. If I ever get rich enough to afford that class of car, I would definitely want to own one of those at least at some point. They're pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna, before I go in and get my bananas, I'm gonna talk about a couple things. So if you've seen some of my reviews before, you know that I'm not a huge fan of like all things like touchscreen everything. Part of that is just like it's like a safety thing, like where if you have to like go through menus to get to like, you know, pivotal functions like, you know, air and you know, music and all that, that can be dangerous, and it's also it just seems like too much work. Obviously, like, you know, some are going to be better than others, but just off the bat, when you want to change the climate control temperature on this, you just press the temperature on your side, and it seems like you can either just like press the plus minus, or you can move your finger up and down. So that's like pretty convenient, and you know, fairly intuitive. I haven't tried to do much else. There are a few things below the touchscreen, like your hazards, the HVAC for the defrost for the windshields. It seems like you can control some of the music functions with this dial. There's a play and pause button. I'm guessing this is for like changing tracks or changing stations. This, I don't know what it is, and this, I also don't know what it is, but oh wow, okay. This is how you open the glove box. You just press this button. That'd be kind of cool if you press it again and it went back up, but that seems like that's not the way. That's pretty cool. It doesn't seem like there's a button to do it manually, so you just have to use this to open it. Got your little, I don't know, so there's sort of a mini storage. I guess you could put some small things, like maybe some peanuts or something, M&Ms, Skittles, I don't know. There's a little power outlet, 12 valve. This, I believe, is a phone charger. I haven't tried to use it yet. Got a couple cup holders. Someone drew what it looks like a penis shape with a whiteout pen. Got a little storage here, some baby wipes if you're a parent. There's the controls for the back climate control. That seems like, oh, it's locked, so I guess if you unlock it from the front, then whoever's in the back can do it themselves. And to give you an idea of what I was talking about with the seats, like you can see it's kind of a cool design and it looks pretty thin, but yeah, so far pretty comfortable. The trim is really great. You know, it doesn't look like there's a lot of cheap plastics. probably a little more chrome than I would like, but I feel like everyone does that. I don't understand why. Steering wheel is kind of cool. It's, I mean, pretty basic in terms of functionality. Like, you know, you have the standard controls for cruise control, talk to do functions or whatever, horn. I don't know about this new Volvo logo. It's kind of weird, but I haven't messed around too much with the settings on the dash, but it seems just the default seems like pretty good. It's got your digital speedometer, odometer, tells you which gear you're in, and you've got a little map by default. Temperature, time, tells you which gear you're in at the top. Tells you which light function you have on. So I guess if you were to like change one of these, it might change. Yeah, so I usually put it on auto, but yeah, get the trunk button here. I'm sure this is for changing the brightness of the interior lights. It'd be nice to have the additional function, I guess, or the additional setting for the memory seats, but I guess it also depends on how many people drive your car and whatever. Yeah, this thing is pretty cool. I am a fan just after driving it for 20-ish minutes, and I'm gonna look around at some other stuff. Looks like there's a oh yeah, we got the I don't know if it's like a single roof or sunroof or moonroof, whatever, that goes the whole way. Goes back pretty far. I don't use this a lot on my Subaru, honestly. I think part of that is just I feel like a lot of the time that I'm driving, the sun is like right above, and I'm just like, I don't want to be, getting attacked by the sun. I really like the rear view mirror because it has like no extra like plastic or like space on the out. Like the mirror itself is the size of, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like sometimes they have a cladding around here that makes it like wider and take up more space. Looks like they have some type of sort of similar to Subaru's eyesight safety system. It says IntelliSight. I don't know if you can see it. IntelliSafe. I don't know if you can see it. It's got the SOS thing. Can take a look at the yeah, pretty standard vanity mirror. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, right off the bat, if you were in the market for a vehicle that has enough space to fit 5 adults, I mean, we'll get to the back seat in a minute, but it seems like a pretty good option right off the bat. Like, for $50,000, I feel like, dual income, if you got a couple kids and a dog, or a kid and a dog, this seems like a really good option. Like, there's a lot of space, it's comfortable, it's luxurious. This is not a bad place to be driving. One complaint, and I'll just say that I don't know, what the majority of driving this is. I'm assuming city driving, but the average fuel consumption on this is showing 17 miles per gallon. By contrast, my Forester averages like 31. I think, we do more highway driving than the owners of the Volvo, but still, like, 17 is like dude staying like Mustang 5.0 territory for fuel economy. However, this is obviously a much more practical vehicle in terms of what you can do with it than a Mustang. So I'm gonna go get a banana and maybe try and find some other exciting snacks at Publix, and then we'll check out, like, some other stuff on this Volvo XC90. I just walked into this Publix, same one where we just saw the Bentley Continental. And like, as I'm walking into the Publix, this dude rolls up to like the front row of parking spots in a Ferrari like 488 or something, just some brand new like baller, you know, over $300,000 Ferrari. It's just like, Jesus, it's just crazy. All right, now we're gonna get out of here. All right, so like, and then look, like I'm looking, I'm driving, boom, another 911 right there. Macan, like, it's just the normal, like the, you know, cars that are, you know, fairly exotic, they're just everywhere. So crazy, so cool. Wish I was super rich. Someday, maybe. So I'm back home from my Miami trip now, and I did not get a chance to do like a little review of the like back seats and trunk space and all that, like for the video at least. But I can say that we had, at one point we had like 3 car seats, like 2 forward facing and 1 rear facing in the middle row, and a person in the 3rd row. I did not ride in the 3rd row, though I wanted to check and see if I could fit. And it seemed like for the purposes of like, you know, like fairly short trips, like, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, you could probably do that pretty regularly, you know, depending on the makeup of your family, or, you know, who's riding in your vehicle. Like you can fit that vehicle, like the XC90, it like, honestly, to me, it doesn't look that big from the outside. But inside, it has a really, it must be the layout, but it has really good space. Seems to have a lot of utility. And that, combined with the fact that it's like, you know, quiet, comfortable, and like a pretty smooth ride, I mean, that's pretty good. I feel like, I mean, when we test drove SUVs before we bought the Forester that I'm currently driving, we didn't look at cars that expensive. Like, I think the closest we came to that Volvo like starting price point was like maybe the Kia Sorento, which seemed really nice. And I think even that was like in the, like, at the time, we weren't dealing with like crazy markups, but it was like, I want to say it was like 42,000 maybe, without any like additional options. And I mean, obviously, like, you know, if you know anything about like modern cars, you know that like Kia and Hyundai, they offer a lot of value for the money. So, but I mean, I can't say with any authority how the Kia compares to the Volvo, because it was a while ago that I drove the Kia, and I drove the Volvo pretty recently. But yeah, like, if I was in the market for a 3-row like SUV, and I had a budget of between, you know, 50 and 60,000, I think the XC90 is pretty good. Like, it seems like a pretty good value. I'd have to do a little more research and see, like, you know, what kind of stuff you can add on, or what the other trim levels are. But that XC90 T5, I'm pretty sure it was, that's a good vehicle. You know, I would recommend it. So, you know, if you're in that market and you haven't taken a look at one of those, I highly recommend it. And you know, me being a taller guy, like, I was pretty impressed with the leg space, at least in the front, for the driver and the passenger, which is definitely not the case with a lot of vehicles that are like a little bit smaller, like, you know, the stuff that competes with the Forester. So yeah, anyways, I hope you found my review, well, semi-review, you know, marginally entertaining and informative. And yeah, keep an eye out for more you know, Mustang related stuff, hopefully, even though I'm back in Virginia and it's cold. And you know, chicken sandwiches and all that shenanigans. So hope you are staying healthy, staying safe, staying warm, and enjoying the last month of 2022. Stay healthy, stay safe, do all the good things, stay happy. Peace out.